Yes.
Greetings from Storybrooke. This is the land where magic always comes with a price, and this time it's my turn to play or pay. And we talk about ABC's hit series Once Upon a Time. How are you guys this week? Tony, how are you? How are you doing this week?
Pretty good.
And Monica?
I'm good too.
All right, it's just the three of us this week. Elizabeth had to take the week off again. I didn't mean it to sound like I wasn't saying it like that. I mean, especially circumstances. Anyway, hopefully she'll be back with us next week to let you know why she was not here this week. But that being said, it's late and we need to carry on. Monica has been doing great with the rhymes, and so Monica, for The Guardian, episode 18 of season 7, why don't you hit us up with the rhyme?
Thank you very much. Let's see. Facilier approaches Gold with malice. To find the Guardian, he'll test Alice. Robin and Alice enjoy their date. Their love is one of fate. Spin, spin, spin. He breaks my heart again. Nook befriends Rumpel in this week's episode, The Guardian.
The Guardian. This episode, okay, spoiler alert. If you listen to last week's episode, you know I was not a fan of last week's episode. But I really love when they showcase characters, specific characters that are some of my favorites. And Robert Carlyle as an actor has always been up there for me. So, let alone, Rumpel. And, so many people have given the whole Rumbell thing, I don't know, I'm trying to look for a word that I can use that's not 4 letters. But you understand what I'm saying. But I've always kind of defended it, about kind of being about this abuse of power thing and how it's not, it's a realistic portrayal of what someone can go through, and in the end, this was such a great episode. I'll just spoiler. I really like this week's episode, guys.
I did too.
It did such a good job with answering questions from earlier in the season. I think that we've even been asking over the past few episodes ourselves as to which Rumpel was who and why is Rumpel acting the way he is in certain scenarios and different things, and they did it in such a great way. And we'll get into it as we go through the episode, I'm sure. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there that this was a great episode, and so look forward to the ratings at the end. Yes. It was definitely better than last week. I'll put it that way. I was not a fan of last week's episode in the slightest. Anyway, here we go. Episode 8. Let me start. Season 7, episode 18. Guardian. Yeah. Years ago in the realms, Rumpel visits Belle's grave to tell her about Gideon. It's a bit of a one-sided conversation, but there's someone lurking in the shadows who may be able to help that. Facilier tells him the Guardian has to be pure of heart and must be tested. He says Belle is afraid that Rumpel will succumb to the darkness before he can be saved. Rumpel will do anything to make sure that doesn't happen. Flash forward to Seattle. Weaver and Rogers head to the interrogation room to question Nick, but he's not doing much talking. Rogers wonders aloud how someone could get into a locked room, but Weaver knows there's only one possible answer. He orders the building locked down as he runs to his evidence locker to find his dagger case empty. Meanwhile, Margot's out for a stroll and runs into Tilly sketching the troll bridge. Margot tries to compliment her drawing, but Tilly says everything's a little off with the buzzing in her head. Margot suggests Tilly take a moment to get out of her head by spending a day with her, and they head out for a day date. At Ronnie's, Jacinda tries to get Henry to talk about what happened at Nick's, but he's not quite ready. And at the police station, Rogers runs into Weaver as he's just about to head out to follow his hunch, and everyone better stay out of his way. Back in the realms, Rumple watches from a distance as Robin brings Alice a letter from Hook. When Robin leaves, Rumple approaches before he's stopped by Hook's blade. He warns the crocodile to leave his daughter alone. Rumple explains that he believes Alice is the guardian and can protect the world from the Dark One's powers. Hook would rather his daughter be allowed to lead a normal life. Flash forward to the precinct. Seems the surveillance in the station mysteriously went blank around the time of Nick's murder. Rogers hopes he may be able to find something from the nearby cameras. Henry walks in with hopes to talk to Nick, but once he hears the news, he pleads with Rogers to take him to Nick's apartment. At Ronnie, she admires her gift from Sandy when Weaver pays a surprise visit. He sees that she has magic and tells her that he wants to help him find his dagger. She tells him it's his cure to Henry, and thinking only of himself, he says that can wait. Ronnie tells him that this is not the way to Belle. She says she will go ask Sandy about the dagger, but in the meantime, he needs to get a grip. All right, so I didn't write anything down for these notes. I don't know. I really don't feel Rumple really started shining until the second or third act anyway. So, Tony, why don't you go ahead with your notes here? It seems you had something to say.
Yes, I did. So earlier, not earlier, but probably like a day or so ago, I remember you guys, Monica and Liz, were talking about the movie Coco.
Mm-hmm.
Not me, because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either, but I guess the area that they were in, the tomb, it kind of reminded me when I saw the trailer for Coco.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought that it was good, like it was a nice rendition of it, and I guess now I know how it feels to be in Bobby's shoes about not watching a certain movie and not understanding, what it was about before I thought about it. I was like, oh, okay, so this is supposed to be a tomb. Okay, cool, great, yay. But and also Rumple was, basically being Rumple, the one that we all know and love, I'm really starting to think that he just has this thing about sacrificing his grandson for whatever means necessary. This ain't the first time, that we've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And how he's tried to hurt Henry while he was on the swing, back in the other season, and how he almost made it come loose and all that. And I mean, like, it just seems like he just has some real just big vendetta about using his own grandson to fix something.
He was losing it. He was losing his grip. I mean, he was trying to find anything and anyone or whatever, any means necessary, and at this point it wasn't even about saving himself. It was about making sure he'd get back to Belle.
Mm-hmm. By any means necessary.
Yeah, but in the end, he, I don't, that's the one thing I didn't like about the episode is I don't understand what made him think he should start going down this road, like he's been down that road before. He shouldn't have done what he was doing in both scenarios, in both the flashback and, current timeline. He shouldn't have been, trying to do what he was doing, obviously.
He's like a rehabilitation person where, everything's good for one moment and then you lapse.
Right, exactly. And that's what I was saying before, exactly. And
literally, he went backwards.
Every time he does it, he keeps telling himself that he's doing it for the greater good, or he's doing it for another cause, or
I'm really not liking the I'm doing this for the greater good thing, like that, like in different shows that I've seen and things like that, in different scenarios that I've seen through TV shows and everything like that. Everybody wants to just be like, oh, well, it's for the greater good. Like, no, it's not for the greater good. It's not. Stop telling yourself that. Like, it's just becoming like a one, not a one-trick pony, but a one common thing to point out when a person's psycho or bad, that they're, thinking that they're saying like, oh no, I'm doing this for the greater good. I'm doing this for you, things like that. So
every villain has to have a purpose.
Yeah.
And, they're the heroes of their own story.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's, I mean, like, earlier, like you said about what you liked about the episode, like, I really liked, this censored episode for Rumple, like, and showing how he's been going down the path of good, but there's going to be some times where he lapses a lot.
Without Belle, the darkness slowly took over.
Exactly. So that was my points that I wanted to point out.
Okay,
as fluid as possible.
Monica, did you want to point out anything?
So, yeah, my notes were, Rumpel says, "Be my guest."
I did not catch that. That's I did not catch that, and I watched it like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, it's when
No, I can almost picture the scene, but go ahead.
Nook is saying, "Oh, I'm going to do all the actual detective work, and you're just gonna go off and
be my
do
guest."
whatever."
Yeah.
Right.
Like, well, you follow whatever.
Yeah. Follow the book where you do this, do that, do this, do that. Be my guest. Just stay out of my way.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus.
Yeah. Is that the same scene where he said, "I've never seen you like this"?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and then he's like, "What? What? Scared?
Afraid?"
Yeah.
Oh, that was That was
like I said. This episode was filled with great lines, filled with great scenes.
Oh,
my girlfriend was watching with me, and she was like, "It's a good thing that Hook guy doesn't live anywhere near here." She said that she'd leave me for Hook in a minute. That's what she said.
Bogus. I just caught that. I'm sorry. I was kind of blacking out. And I was like, wait a minute. Oh, no. Oh, my God.
To be fair, I'm not sure what kind of guy I wouldn't leave
Hook for Hook
for in a minute. That is a high bar to
I didn't take it as an insult. I'll put it that way. I didn't take it as an insult. Anyway,
we'll leave it at that.
The only other comment I had on that was Ronnie asking Gold to I forget exactly how she phrased it. She
don't go doing something
reckless or crazy or I don't remember the actual word she used, but it was
right.
I hate it because I just watched it.
And I'm like, yeah, because Gold is the patient one.
Right.
Yeah, he's not the dark one. He's the patient one.
Yeah.
Oh, good point. Good point. All right. Excuse me. All right. So if no one else does anything else, we're going to go ahead and move on to Act 2. All right. So date. Margot is showing Tilly some of the best food the Heights has to offer. Tilly is amazed that you can put candy on fruit. But Margot wants to see Tilly's favorite places. With that, Tilly grabs her hand and brings her to the one place that you can go anywhere without leaving the room, the bookstore. Flashback to the realms. Alice talks to her friends about her feelings for Robin when Rumple stops by. Alice says Hook warned her to stay away from him, but he says he's just trying to help them. He says that with her help, he can reunite them. They just have to find Facilier. Flash forward to Seattle. Ronnie confronts Sandy about whether he has the dagger. He tries to play coy, but ultimately denies responsibility. She leaves in a huff, but not before Sandy sets up another late-night rendezvous. Just then, Weaver appears from the shadows. Even without magic, he can make a pretty good entrance. Sandy may have Ronnie fooled, but Weaver has questions of his own. Back in the realms, Alice enters the witch doctor's tent under the guise of speaking to a lost loved one. Facilier quickly sees through her ruse, and he knows the Dark One is near. Rumple's distraction gives Alice the opportunity to rip the witch doctor's heart from his chest. She thinks they will use the heart to control Facilier, but Rumple has other things in mind. Rumple tells Alice if he wants to save her father's heart, she has to sacrifice another. His hands grow scalier and his voice begins to crack. We're seeing the true Dark One emerge. Just like he tells Alice as he holds the heart in her hand, all it takes is one little twitch, but she can't do it. She shoves his heart back in his chest before running out. Rumple runs after Alice and tells her he had to test her. He has been searching for a powerful person to help him, and he believes that person is her. Flash forward to Seattle, Weaver draws his gun on Sandy. He wants his dagger, and he's not taking no for an answer. Sandy tells him if he pulls the trigger, he'll never get back to Alice. Weaver lowers the gun, and Sandy issues a warning before whisking Weaver back to his car with a wave of his hand. And elsewhere, Rogers brings Henry to Nick's apartment to gain some closure. Henry should join the police force because he finds what he's looking for in the first drawer he opens. Rogers hears a noise. When he goes to check it out, he's knocked on his ass by the guy trying to flee. After a cool 70s cop chase down a fire escape, he tackles Drew to the ground. Drew tells him he knows who killed Nick, and he was hoping to find something there to use against him. Rogers asks why he didn't just go to the cops. Drew tells him he doesn't realize who Sandy is or what he can do. He tells him he might want to check out the ME's report for himself.
Ooh, dun, dun, dun.
So first of all, like I was saying earlier, Rumple, this is where Rumple really starts to, or David Carlisle really starts to shine. The scene with Rumple and Sandy's tent was awesome. Just like the whole, how he slowly started turning into Rumple. Like earlier in this season, in fact, I think it was before the season had started airing, there was a story that Robert Carlyle had gone back and re-recorded the audio from the first 2 or 3 episodes because he decided that Weaver, would sound different. And since then, nothing's been said of it. But, when the show came on, I was kind of like, I don't know. I really don't see it. But tonight, you saw it. You saw, all 4, you saw the little deviations, in every single different performance he was playing.
How it's not exactly...
It's just a little off. It's not,
Not even a little. It's
no.
But I'm saying, when you first hear it though, without with being so far removed from the others and not having it to play off of, you don't hear the difference until it's juxtaposed against, all of his other performances. And then you can really see, he was, just that, like you said, it is more than subtle, but it is still subtle because I said, I didn't even really notice it again until tonight. I hadn't brought it up before, but like I said, in the beginning of the season, they made that article and I've been trying to search for it since then. And it wasn't until tonight that I really saw it. But yeah, David Carlisle killed it. Oh, and Robert. Thank you. I keep saying David because I know someone named David. No, okay, sorry. I did that 3 times already. Robert Carlisle. Thank you. What's funny is my name is Robert. My brother's name is David. But anyway.
Oops.
What I was also going to say is that I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
Yeah, I thought I heard David. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, I did. I said it, like I said, 2 or 3 times. I knew what I was trying to say. I'm glad you guys corrected me.
Well, no, see, there was something else I wanted to correct you about when you had said when Rumple was trying to get back to Alice. I'm like, wait a minute, he's not trying to get back to Alice.
Did I say Alice? I meant Belle.
I was like, huh?
I meant Belle. You know what I meant.
I did, which is why I didn't say anything while you were reading.
Yeah, but you should have like coughed or something. I don't know.
I didn't want to be like
no.
I don't want to be like Belle.
I understand. Yeah, right. All right. Well, corrections department. I meant to say Belle. Okay, and then how did Henry know exactly where to go to find that result, find the test results. Like they walked into the room, they looked around for a second, and then he just like looked down and opened a drawer. He's like, "Oh, there they are." He didn't even rustle anything around in the drawer. He opened the drawer, and there they were.
I blame Fred.
The magic of Fred.
The magic of Fred. Yes, it's like
that his author powers, like that. He was like he wanted to find it so bad that like he wrote it. That's like his author powers.
You know what? No, you know what? I really think that those author powers are not really quote unquote working while being
they finally brought him up last week. Well, yeah, definitely when he's asleep, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That maybe like subconsciously, like he's used them without using them. I don't know. At this point, I know, but at this point, I'm just trying to like make excuses for sloppy writing. To be honest with you.
Well, this is why we blame Fred. It was like Fred was saying, like was sitting in the corner of the room, and he just happened to look at, like the actor like looked at him in the corner and said, "It's in the drawer." The drawer. And look down.
And then, of course, since they've been introduced, I've loved any scene with like Robin and Alice, Margot Tilly. It's their charisma. They're very good together. Very good. Did you catch? Yeah, thank you. I said charisma. It's getting late. I told you when we started recording. Did you notice that little throwaway line when they were going into the bookstore and she says, "Oh, a little mom and pop bookstore," and then Tilly says, "Actually, it's a pop and pop."
Yes, yeah. Yes. I want to know who Pop and Pop are.
Yes. I mean, Jesus Christ! Like these little mentions that they keep putting in. It's like, come on, follow through with these little,
Well, we've got what, 3 episodes left at this point. Come on, guys.
Still, you could have fit it into the script somehow. Like it's like she honestly should have said, "Who's Pop and Pop?" And then all Margot had to do was like, "Oh yeah, it's blah 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 blah."
Yeah, but if she'd have said 2 names, it wouldn't have mattered because we don't know who
that is.
But that wouldn't have told us because that we don't know their cursed personas. She would have told us like Steve and Jim.
That's true.
They're probably not even, like they wouldn't have even needed to be that important. All I needed was friends for closure or names for closure.
Okay.
Something.
Yeah.
Tony, what else? Oh, sorry.
They aren't old country people.
I hear you, but usually if you tend shop in these towns, you usually tend to be old country, though.
Yeah.
Tend to, but not necessarily.
That's true. I'll give you that it's not necessarily like a given. It's not mutually exclusive. I wanted it
to be.
Yeah, it's not mutually, especially now because we have no clue. This is not like we're in Storybrooke.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Tony, what did you have to add?
Let me see here. Well, there's the Rumple that we all know and love, teaching someone to be evil and manipulation. Again, I didn't know if it was a ruse or that they both knew of, but of course, when they left the tent, she was like, "Oh, well, why didn't you tell me that was going to happen? And you knew it was going to happen, and blah blah blah." But it's one of Rumple's traits, evil and manipulation. And I also thought it was weird that he was being Rumple without the makeup.
Well, he was slowly turning,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Regardless, I thought it was just awkward. I'm like, wait a minute, where's the makeup? Oh, wait, there it is. It's growing on the hands and things like that. But I mean, I guess when he is acting, like the evil little imp that people call him, it was kind of weird to see him up close on the camera and there's no makeup. Like no Rumple still skin makeup. I guess that's what I was hoping for, but it was still good though. And the tension between Weaver and Facilier. Ooh, my God, it is intense.
Yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more as far as their past goes. Because really, like, it was just like he knows who the Dark One is. The Dark One doesn't know who he is. It was kind of stupid for him to think he'd be able to kill the Dark One with a voodoo doll.
Right. He came up in there like, man, let's see, look at this. Prick.
Right. That was stupid.
Prick. Like,
right.
Come on. And then also how he just basically shooed him away. I thought that was like, whoa.
And then just left him in Belle's tomb.
Right.
Like, he was just like, I don't care. You're nothing to me.
Shoe, like he shooed you in from his apartment, because he literally was like, "You're dismissed." I was like, "All right, who has enough power to shoo the Dark One away?" Is my question. And then I also liked. I also do love the chemistry between Alice and Robin. It's so sweet and so cute.
Yeah.
And I also I thought that when Alice was admiring her bracelet in the mirror, I thought that was really going to be like, it didn't have to be nothing special. No voice actor would have had to do it, but I really would have loved for there to be an actual CGI rabbit there.
Yeah, I still don't quite understand the whole how Wonderland pertains to this Alice and everything, but
I think it's more. I think it's more of just like a, oh, well, this was a part of my adventure and I brought these things back thing.
Yeah, but she had those before she went on the adventure, because she was stuck in the tower with the Tea Party friends.
But in that scene, she wasn't in the tower.
Yes, she was.
She wasn't.
She was in that little house. She was definitely in that little house.
No, it was on her 18th in that scene. Yes, in the scene where we just saw. Yes, in the original scene where she talked to her friends, it was on her 18th birthday.
That was in the tower.
Ever left the tower.
That was in the tower, but she was admiring her bracelet. And she was talking to a plush rabbit. That's why I said that I wish
she was talking to the plush rabbit from the tower.
I don't know, from the house.
No, but what I'm saying is that the plush rabbit was the same one from the tower.
Right, but
Huh?
The rabbit was the same. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah,
the rabbit was fun. But what I was saying is that when she was admiring her bracelet from Robin, she had been out of the tower and she was in that little.
I know that. I understand that. That's not what I'm arguing.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Like, what I'm saying is I don't understand how did she know about the rabbits and everything else before she even went to Wonderland? How did she know about Mr. Rabbit and her, the little Tea Party thing? That was happening while she had never left the tower.
I think maybe it's one of the mini books that she had. I mean, she might have like a little stack of books, and Wonderland was her favorite story. That and she would reenact them while she was in the tower, probably. And then probably her father,
we do know we saw her in Wonderland in the one scene with Alice or with Henry and Jacinda.
Yeah, that was by them not using so many like teen actors or child actors or things like that, it's kind of hard to tell what age they are at certain times.
Yeah, everyone on this show is just vaguely 30.
Right. Just by how they look, they're 30 and below, trying to act like, oh well, I'm supposed to be 17 right now. Like
everyone on the show is vaguely 30.
Like the only people,
Lucy, who acts like she's 30.
Right. Jesus Christ. No, but it just seems like some of the other actors, at least they had young child actors. Like Snow had one. Emma has had several. No, only two. Yeah, only two.
Oh, you're talking about when they play past selves?
Yeah. Like there were actually, actors for at least every age. Snow's child actor was I forgot her name, but she played several instances, when she was a little girl and then when she was like a preteen, things like that. It just would have been nice, to depict characters when it comes to, doing past scene, like past, flashbacks, and if they had to deal with, them being younger, like 18 or something like that, something. But it's once.
We did have a young Alice until she turned 18.
Right, yeah, that was just the young one, and then I guess the one that plays Alice now. I don't know what age she's supposed to be.
I think they're probably supposed to be. Didn't we have a thing that figured this out? Like Robin's supposed to be like 27 or something like that.
I think she said 25. I think whichever one. She was in her lower 20s.
Whatever, and it was supposed to make like Henry in his early 40s, or.
Is he supposed to be 40? Because he looks young as hell to be 40.
There was that meme that Elizabeth brought to the chat a few weeks ago. Anyway,
she did. I remember that.
Yeah, I just can't remember the specifics of the meme. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you wanted to add before Aunt Monica? Do you want to add anything before we move
on? So I love how Alice was the traveled one beforehand, and now Robin is.
Mm-hmm.
I love that dynamic. And exactly where is the furthest place on Earth from Hyperion Heights?
Well, I mean, basically Hyperion Heights is Seattle, so
So to that question, I think my answer at least would be somewhere in South Africa.
Could be. I mean, it depends on where she went to, where you can name certain places.
That's my guess, at least,
mm-hmm.
and we'll see if that's even referenced again.
No, I'm sure that it was just a throwaway line.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Alice doesn't question that Nook is watching her. Again, probably a throwaway line. It just feels creepy.
I mean, yeah, it does. But I mean, I think that was supposed to make it easier, for them to send letters.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like literally like just sitting there in the woods like, "Hey, babe, how are you? I'm
Yeah.
I'm good." I don't think it's supposed to be like that. I think it was
I'm with you on that. It's just,
I think it was just like, like, yeah, I'm watching you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And it took me a minute to realize that Gold wasn't wearing gloves. So how did
because they had to show
Alice
his hands?
Miss that? Or are we just supposed to assume that he just brushed her off like he did before?
Wait, brush who off like he did before? Oh, Alice?
So, Gold, when he shows up with the dark hands,
Mm-hmm.
At first I thought he was wearing gloves, and then I figured out, no, that's his actual hands.
Right.
Alice never questioned it.
Well, she
did question when she first saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened to your hand? So are we just supposed to assume that the spreading of that, whatever you want to call it, he just brushed off like, oh yeah, that's
my psoriasis. I'm yeah, you don't want to be rude and point out, like, dude, what's up with the scales on your hand?
Right.
Yeah.
like you don't want to be. Yeah. You really don't want to be.
Are you gonna be that guy?
Like,
are you gonna be that guy?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Is that an infection?
Seriously, are you all right?
Are you sure?
All right. Okay. So, Monica, do you have anything else to add?
That was it.
Okay. I found a website called farthestcity.com
Oh,
where you pretty much plug in, your city and whatnot. And so
Mhm.
basically, let me read this disclaimer. So basically it says, remember the furthest point is likely to be in the ocean somewhere. So when considering which point is the farthest away, you need to really look at cities. We provide information for the farthest cities with population of 100,000 and 1,000,000 people, as well as capital cities, as well as the country that is farthest away. So, from Hyperion Heights, let's say, is St. Paul, France. And they also point out Tolera, Madagascar, Saint Denis, France, and Durban, South Africa.
Oh, there you go.
okay. So that sounds like north-south wise.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like they would be in the same region. But as far as
South Africa,
Hyperion Heights versus furthest point, that doesn't. I still say South Africa. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just why. Oh, did you say that before?
I did.
Oh, okay. I was not even paying attention. I was busy trying to get the website, obviously. So I was,
Oh yeah,
well,
that's why I had pointed and said like, oh yeah, see, she was close when she said South Africa.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was about. All right, so yes, that's not a plug, but furthestcity.com, an interesting little site to kind of just plug in a zip code and see what the furthest place is. So if you want to get the hell out of town. Anyway.
Not a plug.
Moving on. Margot brings Tilly a bracelet, a memento of their first date. Everything's going great, but Tilly can't get rid of that damn buzzing. It's getting even louder. She apologizes to Margot and runs off. Across town, Ronnie locks up her magic stash before stepping out. As she leaves, Weaver steps out from the shadows and breaks into Ronnie's medicine cabinet. He pours the potion on a map in hopes of finding the dagger. The purple smoke burns trails across the map before burning a point in its location. Flashback to the realms, Rumpel visits Belle, perhaps to ask if he's doing the right thing. Alice asks how this guardian thing works, but he's not even sure. She seems to think the dagger is telling her how, though. With a wave of her hand, she summons it, and the darkness begins to leave Rumpel and enter the dagger. The blade begins to grow and morph as Alice manipulates it with her hands. Rumpel hears a voice he hasn't heard in some time. It's his conscience, Belle. She reminds him that he's a good man, that he can find another way to her. He grabs the magic and it drops as a dagger to the floor. He tells Alice he realizes the burden this would have been for her, and that he will find another way if it means living with the darkness. Even if it means living with the darkness. Alice promises she will not let him forget the good man that he is. Flashback to the Heights. The map has brought Weaver to the patrol bridge where he finds Tilly complaining about that damn noise. Only it's louder. Weaver grabs her bag and ruffles through it, quickly finding the dagger. She swears she has no idea how it got there, but he knows she was just being the guardian, even if she wasn't aware of it. In the realms, Rumpel watches Alice and Margot from a distance. His appearance has been totally overtaken by the darkness. Hook comes up, but this time to thank him for the sacrifice he made for Alice. Rumpel says it was finally his time to pay the price and goes off to spin. Back in the Heights, Ronnie confronts Weaver about stealing the magic to find the dagger. He fills her in on the whole Guardian thing, and she tells him that what he did today was the last straw. At the police station, Henry thanks Rogers for his help earlier at Nick's. He just happens to be looking at Nick's ME report, and he tells Henry that Nick was stabbed through the heart from the inside. Later at Ronnie's, Margot is tending bar when Alice comes in to apologize for running away earlier. Margot tells her there's no need to run. She just wants to be there for her. And at Jacinda's, Henry's finally ready to come clean. He shows her the papers he found at Nick's, and he's checked with the hospital. Lucy's right. Henry is her father. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Excuse me.
Man, soap opera night it was last Friday.
Very good episode. Very good episode. What I want to point out, the scene at the Troll Bridge was awesome. I loved the moment where like he really started losing it and realizing that like everything he just did was for nothing because she was guarding it the whole time, and he like sits there and like the way he's holding the dagger, it's like just barely slipping from his fingers, and he's just like, no, it's not you I'm mad at. Way
to go, Rumble.
Just that scene I kept rewinding and watching over and over again. It's such a good performance. Good writing. Yeah. Everything about that was great. Everything about that was great. And I've never seen forgive me for not knowing the actress's name, but the actress who plays Alice / Tilly. Great. I definitely want to see other things she's been in and other things she will be in. Really, that scene may be one of my favorite scenes from the episode, and the episode in all was great. Okay, so how is Henry going to be saved now?
I don't know. They're gonna throw something in, like a plot.
I know. Obviously, it'll happen. I mean, we only got 3 episodes left, but something like that, 3 or 4, whatever the case may be. Anyway, yeah, I really don't. I don't have anything else to add. 3. Okay, thank you. Tony, what did you have to add?
Man, Weaver, you got to slow down on the magic. He just basically did it look empty to you guys? Was it empty or was it like a little bit left?
He just dumped it onto the map.
I don't think it ever took that much magic to do a simple locator spell ever.
Exactly.
I'm like, really the whole thing? Wow. And then also, did any of you guys get a season 2 vibe from that old 70s chase? That you named it, Bobby? Did you guys get a season 2 vibe? The only reason why I asked is because it was the exact same way that Emma was chasing down Neil in
now
season
that you
2.
bring it to my attention, I see it, but I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have caught it if you hadn't brought it to my attention.
I mean, it's just something that I very strongly felt when I first saw it. I'm like, wait a minute, is this like season 2 all over again? When it was chasing down Neil, they were both on a fire escape, and also, I mean, it just seems like Naveen got caught very easily. Who goes into a garage? Honestly, come on,
all right.
Come on, it was crazy, but I enjoyed it all though. I loved it. So.
Okay. Yeah. And Monica, looks like you have a bit to add here before we close it out.
Oh, so yeah, Ronnie, that is one cheap lock you have on your medicine cabinet. And as far as Weaver, gotta use all the magic, really? What happened to Regina saying back in season 1 that even non-magic users with a few ingredients could cast a locator spell?
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
Probably my only pre-season reference ever, but come on, you don't even remember that?
Of all things.
Startled Rumble, it makes me giggle. That was so cute.
Oh, when he turned around and Hook was there, it's like,
yes!
Startled Rover, yeah. I thought that was quite weird. I'm
Hook?
like,
No, pirate?
hey,
Crocodile. Friends?
friends?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, what? Just what when he was so caught up in um
Looking at her, yeah.
and and Alice and just all in the shipping moment, and then Nook crept up on him and he was like, what?
It's like he spazzed out a little bit. I was like, who startles the Dark One? What?
Oh, that moment! I loved it. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And Nook offering Rumple a blanket check. Like, you ever need anything, just call. Who the hell would have ever seen that coming?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
Oh, that moment. Ah. Uh, uh, why the hell would Rumple put the dagger back into the same hiding place?
It's a decent question. I mean, I don't know that he thought that Facilier had took it, or like at that point. I don't know. I mean, where else would he put it?
Somewhere. There's a lot of places to hide.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, okay, so no, like Facilier or any dangerous person hadn't figured it out. And the Guardian had, so it's safe in that sense. It feels wrong to put it back in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
It's weird.
Yeah, and then we get Ronnie telling Weaver off. I loved that moment. As much as I loved Rumple in this episode, he truly did Regina wrong. Straight up 100%. He screwed her over. And this moment is her finally, of all the times you screwed me over, this is it. This is the absolute last straw. And hell yeah, girl. I mean, I love both of them truly, but she had to have this moment. She really did. Um, uh, oh, as far as Alice bringing that tray of I don't know what the heck. What did she do to that poor honeydew? I don't even like honeydew, and I don't know what she did to it. It was weird. Um, and that last moment between Robin and Alice, I think I'm falling for Robin too. Um, and then that last moment between Jacinda and Henry. did anyone else get a Star Wars feeling?
Oh,
I am
what?
your
A Star
father.
Wars film?
Yes, I am your father.
Um, yeah,
I,
I'm not sure.
I don't know. We can't just because every time someone says I'm your father, we can't automatically think of Darth Vader.
Nah, it's the go-to comments.
Okay.
I didn't see that. No, I didn't get that. Anyway, you had quite a bit to say about the last bit. About the last
I
bit.
normally don't in the last act, but this time
Oh, you're fine. You had plenty you had to say, and you said it. There's nothing. But the honeydew. I mean, what did I wasn't even paying attention to what you did with it. You just covered it with candy, right?
Yeah, but I rewatched it and I'm like, what is on that? I was literally trying to figure out what the hell she did to it, and I don't even like honeydew, and I'm like, what is going on here?
All right.
Yeah.
So that is episode 18, season 7, The Guardian. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, I really liked it. Tony, why don't you go ahead? What do you write us down on an arbitrary scale, right? Out of 1,500 voodoo dolls. For some reason, you're obsessed with voodoo dolls tonight.
It wasn't that much of an assumption. I just thought that it was, it pointed out that this was about death this season, and talking to the dead.
True. Okay.
That's why I thought about the 1,500 voodoo dolls.
All right, so out of 1,500 voodoo dolls, you're gonna be one busy. Your hands are gonna be tired to shoving all those pins in those voodoo dolls. But out of 1,500 voodoo dolls, what do you give this episode?
I'm gonna give it 1450. Yes.
1450.
Yes.
1450. So pretty close, not perfect.
Not perfect.
When you're dealing with such a high number of, just that little slight off is still. I mean, you're grading it on a medium A at this point still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really loved that it was a center, like some big way in, a center of a Rumble episode. We got to hear Belle's voice. I just thought it would have been nice for her to come back in ghost form, some type of form.
Didn't they say she's supposed to be coming back at one point? I mean, I would think
yes.
that by the end of the season we will see Rumple find his way to Belle.
Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be the only reason why we see her.
Really, really hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I really think that that's probably going to be the only way that we're going to see her. Like, I think she just basically, they called her on her phone and said, hey, we're going to need you to do this little bit of a
voice veto,
but like, this little voice clip, and then say, okay, yes, we will see you in 3 weeks. Thanks, bye. I think that's what they basically did. Like, I wouldn't want to be brought into a studio just to do that. Like, can I do this on my phone? Great.
Oh no, I'm sure it was over the phone. Yeah, for that few lines like that, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Monica,
I really enjoyed it. So
I'm good. I'm right there with you. We'll get to my score in just a moment. But first, I want to hear Monica. Monica, what's your score out of 1,500 voodoo dolls?
I give it 1,500 voodoo dolls.
Whoa!
I love this episode.
We could tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
it was a very good episode.
And we had an episode a few weeks ago about one that you gave a perfect score to,
right?
And I didn't. And afterwards, I thought about it, and I realized I didn't give a perfect score because of another series.
Oh, that's weird.
what, and that was what made me second guess it.
Mhm.
I don't know if either of you watched Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay.
I have yet to do it, but I want
Okay,
to.
well, there was that was the week of the Groundhog Day type episode,
Okay.
and it was the most perfect TV show episode I've seen in ages.
So basically, you were judging it in comparison to that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It was like, oh, that was just so perfect. And this wasn't quite it. But once I realized I was comparing it to another show, I was like, okay, that's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
So
Kind
if
of.
if I could go back, I would have given that one a perfect score.
Well, that's nice to hear. It's kind of I think it was Ebert who's as a critic who was kind of like saying, you can't judge every movie is not Citizen Kane, and every movie is not trying to be Citizen Kane.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't judge you can't you have to judge the movie for what it's trying to be, and for its place in time. You can't go back and look at a movie from 30 years ago and say, oh, well, it didn't live up to X, Y, and Z. It's like, yes, but at the time, X, Y, and Z wasn't even a factor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's definitely, a lot of people like to crap on critics, and there's definitely critics to crap on. Don't get me wrong. But in my opinion, you kind of got to find a voice that you trust and want to listen to, and that's how I look at reviews and criticism.
Yes.
But that's my little soapbox for this week, I guess. A little more, flies across the screen.
Totally fair.
Flies across the screen.
Yeah, you remember more. You don't remember that, Tony? Or you? Am I not?
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. Yes, I know.
All right. So this week, I think I'm going to be a little shy of perfect because there were some moments that
Fred didn't do a good job.
Yeah. I mean, I think I pointed them out through. There were it wasn't a perfect episode, but it was damn near. It was damn near, and I think Robert Carlyle's performance was spot on.
He said it right, Monica.
So yeah, out of 1,500 voodoo dolls, I'm gonna give this week's episode 1,482.
Ooh, that is pretty high.
Close enough.
Like I said, it's I'm docking it a few points, but it was a damn good episode. So yeah, that does it for as far as the episode proper. News. News. There is none. There is none.
I did
There isn't
have.
none.
Oh wait, Monica's. Go ahead. What do you have, the ratings or something?
Episode. No, not the ratings, but the synopsis for
next week.
episode?
Okay, Flower Child.
Flower Child. Tilly and Rogers find themselves in danger after an encounter with Eloise, forcing Tilly to make a life-altering decision when Rogers' life is altered. Meanwhile, Henry and Jacinda's relationship takes a step forward, but despite Lucy's efforts, their union doesn't provide the answer she's seeking. In a flashback, young Gothel seeks revenge after her home is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And once upon a time, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of interested.
The rest of it, and
I'm kind of interested in young Gothel. But
yeah,
other than
younger
that,
Gothel,
Gothel hasn't been in the show for like about a few episodes,
right?
now.
And I think we pointed that out last week. And And I feel like they're having to close out her story, so this is going to be
Right.
another filler closeout. So unfortunately, I feel like this is going to be another episode like last week's, where it's just them kind of throwing crap at a wall to get done with it.
Well, no, I mean, it's just like I thought that her and the Coven of the Eight were going to be the big baddies.
I'm sure that was going to be the case, before, what happened. I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure there was a lot trimmed before, once they found out what was happening. That we discussed this. There was stuff they set up that they had to stop, just stop, dead in their tracks and start, full steam ahead towards the end.
Yeah, but still, I mean, well, I guess a few of the witches are dead, in fact,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
still,
so it's no longer the Coven of Eight.
Yeah, it's basically the Coven of
the Coven of 8, 7, 6, 5,
4, 3, 2.
3.
God.
Yeah.
3 or 2.
Maybe she has all those mannequins set up somewhere.
Kelly was supposed to be one of them, aka
right.
Zelina, now she's gone.
Yeah, so
I think it's the Coven of the
One.
One.
That's why I'm saying that I think next week's just going to be a throwaway episode, but we'll see.
It just feels like they were tossing up between her and Sandy as the big bads. Now I think it's definitely Dr. Facilier. Who would have thought that Dr. Facilier would have been the big bad?
I totally agree.
Who would have thought? Like, wow. Okay, well, I'm excited. Yay!
All right, so that does it for news, but listener feedback, which has been empty for quite some time, we actually have something to. We have a few things to play and to talk about here.
Oh my God! What did you say?
First of all, we did not mention this at the top of the show, but yes, this is our 200th episode. Technically, this is the 200th episode of Greetings from Storybrooke. It's not our 200th episode because Bill and Ann pushed that over the edge with their commentaries and whatnot. They obviously were this was their podcast, and when other deciding factors, just took them away, they graciously handed the reins over. But they, hold on a second. We have a voicemail from someone familiar, and now I'm doing the same thing I do every week. I vamp when I'm trying to pull something up on my email. See, I don't know what to say. Here we are. Never mind. Don't have to say anything. I'll let them talk.
Greetings from Storybrooke.
I'm Bill Meeks.
And I'm Anne-Marie DeSimone.
And we want to thank you so much for taking over the show so we don't have to do it anymore.
Congratulations on hitting 200 episodes. That is an amazing accomplishment.
I know, and you guys almost have as many in the can as we did when we started. Yeah, roughly.
That's not okay.
Well, maybe not quite as many. Especially with all the commentaries and patron hangouts.
That's true. Hey, where's your commentaries? Get on that.
Anyway, guys, good job. Thanks for carrying the torch. Excited to wrap it up with you for the finale here in a few weeks. I don't know. Let us know when it is. We'll figure it out. We'll get caught up. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yay.
Bye.
Yes.
Yay.
What is that noise?
I don't know.
I hear a weird noise.
It's weird.
Anyway, maybe that was just me. I'm hearing noises like Tilly did. The dagger. Uh-oh.
The dagger. Oh, wait. I think I found this.
Oh, do you have like a letter opener or something that's got Rumpelstiltskin written on there?
No, but it's pretty close.
All right. Okay, but that's not all. Thank you, Bill and Anne-Marie, for the great feedback. We can't wait to talk to you guys about the finale. But we also have some listener feedback from a listener named John. Did not see where he was writing from. All right. So He has a Rumple theory. After watching Rumple help Ivy and Anastasia a few weeks ago, and then helping Zelina, who he doesn't like, this episode, something struck me. And I believe he was probably talking about last week's episode. What if Rumple is the Guardian? Maybe the true interpretation of the prophecy is if a Dark One has the willpower to go against their nature and help people, even those they don't like, then they become a Guardian. At that point, they can release or destroy the knife. Just thought I would float that out there. Love the podcast, John.
Thank you, John.
I love that theory. I mean, it's clearly not where the writers are going, but
it's hard to say at this point. I don't know.
He stopped.
That would be awesome. I love that.
I think that's a great theory, honestly. It had not occurred to me, but like, especially after tonight, after he's decided that, he shouldn't pass this burden along to anyone. Yeah, and if he can't, at that point, it doesn't matter who the Guardian is. If he's not going to pass the burden along,
that
is, he has to destroy the darkness.
That would
I love it.
Oh my God, that would be like the biggest sacrifice since he killed himself with Peter Pan.
Right.
That'd have been the greatest sacrifice because that's been his crutch.
Well, I don't know if it's too much of a sacrifice at this point. I mean, he's trying to get rid of it. He's trying to get back to Belle. So I don't know if I would consider it a sacrifice, but at the same time, it would be great to like have him, be the one responsible, not having to, not having to have anyone else carry that burden. All of that makes sense. So John,
that's
very good theory
fantastic.
There. I think we're gonna jump on the John theory bandwagon.
Like, just think, because then that could be it. He's already been through 2 Guardians, and it seemed like Alice was the actual Guardian. She was very close,
right?
But you know what? I'm going to add on to his theory. What if, with his mother, with the Black Fairy, what if she really didn't cut off, that destiny from baby Rumple?
Oh yeah, because that's what he was supposed to be to begin with.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna add on to that theory, John. That was a great theory.
Making more and more sense, John. Yes,
it's making very good sense. I would have never thought about that because, we would have never thought about that until if they didn't even show that scene that he, was cut off from that destiny of I forgot what it was specifically. Like, was it like a pure heart or
it's something? I mean, it was something where he was like a white knight. I mean, it was. Monica, did you have something to add before we closed out? Does that look like you did?
I did, and it's escaped me. So maybe next week.
Okay, just making sure. And along with Monica, as far as next week, if you guys want to, talk with us about next week's episode or have any comments about our comments today, you can send us a voicemail or email just like John did at email. The email is greetingsfromstorybrooke@gmail.com. The Twitter is @GFStorybrooke. The Facebook is facebook.com/greetingsfromstorybrooke, where there's always a great active community going on. And the voicemail is 424-274-2352. That's 424-274-2352. And it looks like that's going to do it for us this week as far as Greetings from Storybrooke goes. But if anyone wants to get a hold of you, Tony, how would they be able to do that?
You guys can find me on Twitter @hoops900, @hoops900.
Okay. And then, Monica, how would they get a hold of you?
On Twitter @Monica Sedai. SEDAI.
SEDAI, huh?
Yes.
All right. And then
yes.
Thank you, Tony. And then of course you can catch me on this podcast every week, obviously. On Twitter, I am Inevitable Hawk, HAWKE, and just search Bobby Hawk, Greetings from Storybrooke. I think there's some youth pastor out there with my same name, but I'm definitely not a youth pastor. And then I think that's going to about do it. Yeah, and that's it. So until next week, guys, Tony, why don't you go ahead and count us down?
In 3, 2, 1.
Greetings from Storybrooke. We'll get it eventually.
We only have 3 more episodes left.
I know, right? And I'll get the theme song eventually.
I think when we're in the same room eventually.
Yeah, that'll probably help.
Oh, God. Greetings from Harperian Heights. Yay. I'm sorry.